cannot build with a pathological narcissist because they embody destructive energy. So it is important to understand that pathological narcissists age like milk. They curdle over time. They do not age like wine. They do not get better with time. So if you're looking for a tall glass of Pinot Noir or a nice glass of Merlot, understand that you won't find this in the third dimension. What you'll find in the third dimension is curdled milk. And you really do not want to drink that. Hence, it is important that if you're trying to get into healthy, blossoming, blooming, growing relationships with other individuals at a consciousness level, these individuals must be able to access the fourth dimension or higher. This means that these are individuals that are working on themselves. For example, if you have access to courage, then this person can be vulnerable. For example, let's say that I accidentally stepped on your shoe. I have to get the courage to apologize, because if I am stuck in my pride and I am prideful and big-headed, then I won't want to apologize to you, because you need to let go of pride to get to the level of courage. So when you're dealing with a pathological narcissist, you're dealing with someone that is rooted in their shame. So they have pathologically low self-esteem so low that they would probably have to look up to see it. And they are unable to move past their pride. And we're not talking about healthy pride here, like taking pride in your work, like confidence. This is not confidence. It is grandiosity. It is their false sense of superiority. It is egomania. So in their minds, they believe that they are perfect. They can do no wrong. So understand that if someone believes that they're perfect, well, they don't need to change. So what happens is pride cometh before the fall, and they fall right back down to shame, to go through another shame-pride cycle. And this is where pathological narcissists have been stuck since their childhood years. They are in a shame-pride cycle. They are stuck at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. We're talking about dregs at the bottom of the spiritual cup. And this is because they are not truly working on themselves. So they are running from their shame. And again, shame is an emotion that is targeted at the self. So shame is linked to your self-esteem and your self-confidence. So what happens is they are running from their shame. So then the question that you're going to ask is, well, where is this shame coming from? So there are many different things that can cause shame. So this could be neglect, so emotional neglect, physical neglect, etc. It could be abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, etc. So what happens is if someone goes through trauma, and trauma is anything that pushes the spirit down into shame, right? If you do not address this shame, then it metastasizes. It gets worse. It gets malignant. It gets cancerous. So pathological narcissists are just sweeping their shame under the rug. And if you're not dealing with a problem, well, it grows. So they are running from their shame, running from these things that trigger their low self-esteem instead of really working on it, right? And then they get to pride, and again, pride cometh before the fall, and they fall right back down to shame. And this is the cycle that they have been in for years, long before you came into the picture. So understand that our physical growth is the default setting of our being. At our core, we are spirit. We are spiritual beings having a human or a physical experience. We are not our bodies. We have a body. For example, in the case of an amputee, and let's say the person's name is George, well, George may lose a limb, but George doesn't lose himself, because George is not the limb. George has lost a limb. George is the spirit or the consciousness or the life force that is operating the physical body. In another scenario, let's say we are at a funeral and George's body is in the casket. Well, that exactly it is. George's body is in the casket because George, the life force, George, the spirit, has now moved on to another dimension because energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transformed. So when George was walking around on this planet, well, George was an embodied spirit. And now, after the physical passing, then George is a disembodied spirit. The spirit moves on to another dimension. We are spirit at our core, and we have access to tools or faculties, namely our mind power, our willpower, and our emotions. Similarly, we are not the mind, and the mind is not the brain. The brain is a physical organ that is a part of the physical body. Our mind is not physical. You cannot touch the mind, but you know that you have a mind. Or we can also know that someone has lost their mind because, again, we are not the mind. Our minds are tools, and we use our minds to generate ideas. We use the mind to brainstorm and so on. The mind is a tool that we use to make decisions. Similarly, we're not our emotions. We have emotions. You feel anger. You feel courage. You feel peace. But again, we are not the emotions itself. Emotions are energy in motion. And that is why if someone is very angry and you see them, well, you'll pick up on the vibration. You'll pick up on that emotional energy that is being transmitted because we are electromagnetic beings. And we're also not the will. We have a will. And you can think about your willpower like a disciplined muscle. So if you work on that muscle, then it gets stronger. So you are going to be highly disciplined. And if you don't really work on your will, you will see where you're very impulsive and or compulsive. But again, at our core, we are spirit. Now here is the problem. At the pathological narcissist core, they are not really the human spirit anymore because they abandoned their spirits in childhood. This is what you call dissociation or self-abandonment. So they abandon the spirit, they abandon the true self for a false self. And the false self is what you call the ego or the mask. And the ego is what you probably fell in love with. The ego was what you were interacting with. That is their mask. Very similar to how Chucky wears a good guy mask to hide his deep-seated inner anger and rage and evil. The true spirit of Chucky is a very dark, malevolent spirit. And this really is the same when it comes to pathological narcissists. So understand that whoever you met on day 0 does not exist. They were wearing a mask because you are dealing with the Anna Delveys of the world. You are dealing with a total fake. So the narcissist comes around you and you like hip hop and R&B music. Well, you will see where all of a sudden the narcissist likes hip hop and R&B music. If the pathological narcissist comes around me and I like country music, well, they all of a sudden are going to like country music. And they will mimic you and they will mirror you so that you believe that they are like you. They are going to become a country music expert. You're going to hear the pathological narcissist say, well, dip me in some vinegar and call me a pickle. Because they are going to mirror you so that you believe that they are like you. But again, you are dealing with a mask. You are dealing with the figment of a child's imagination that now exists inside of an adult's body. That is the ego. Pathological narcissists at their core are not the human spirit people. They believe that they are the ego. They believe that they are the mask. And understand that the ego is a mind-made construct. It is the figment of a child's imagination now existing inside of an adult's body. So if pathological narcissists believe that they are the ego and they believe that they are the mask and the ego is a mind-made construct, then pathological narcissists believe that they are the mind. And if someone believes that they are the mind, then they are losing their minds. So I hope I'm making it abundantly clear to you that you are dealing with someone that is off their rocker. They have a couple of screws loose. So when we're talking about the level of the psyche or the personality or the soul, understand that you're dealing with someone that is losing their minds. They are losing control of their emotions because they're based in shame and they cannot move past their pride. Pride is the most positive emotion that they can feel. And when it comes to the willpower, then they are impulsive and compulsive. So clinicians will say that this is a personality disorder, or you may hear me refer to them as lost souls or dark souls, because you're dealing with someone with very severe psychological problems, and also at the spirit level, well, they have disconnected from the spirit. So you're dealing with a captain that abandoned their ship. The driver is in the back seat. Nobody's really operating their vehicle. And oftentimes you look in the pathological narcissist eyes and you'll see where the lights are on, but nobody's really home. They're not really thinking. And they cannot really think because they are not there. They don't exist. They really are drifting off into the sunken place. They are drifting off into the underworld. Because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, but pathological narcissists abandoned the captain of the ship. So you're dealing with a wrecking ball. They are a walking black hole. They are voids. And with that said, then they are going to consume your life force energy. Because they cannot generate this energy on their own, they abandon spirit, they abandon the generator, they abandon source. And this is why they have to plug into other sources of supply. And this is why they are addicts. So because they cannot fix the problem on the inside, well, they will use the external world to solve the problem. And this is not going to solve the problem. So you will see where pathological narcissists are people addicts. They are addicted to people. Again, they need a narcissistic supply. You now have to become the narcissist source because they abandoned their source. They abandoned spirit. So you'll see where pathological narcissists are people addicts. Oftentimes, they're also sex addicts. They could also be addicted to drugs such as alcohol, meth, opioids, and so on. A lot of them are also porn addicts, shopping addicts, hoarding addicts, and so on. Because again, they're trying to use the external world to solve an internal problem. But again, they're not going to be able to solve this problem because again, the problem is coming from inside the house. They need to be connected to their spirit. They need the captain on the ship. So understand that there is no captain on that ship. So the ship that you're on, people, is the Titanic. It has to go down. There is really no other way for a narcissistic relationship to go besides down. It is a failing stock. You cannot build with a pathological narcissist because they embody destructive energy at their core. Understand that black holes consume light. That is what black holes do. And that is what you will find if you look behind the physical veil of a narcissist. You will see that they are people that are losing their minds, losing control of their emotions, losing control of their will. And again, at the spirit level, they are dark. They are black holes. They are voids. And this is why you cannot truly love them. All of your love and kindness and compassion is going into a black hole. There's really no captain there to receive it. This is why you are left drained when you're in entanglement with these individuals, because they are black holes. Black holes consume light. A black hole is a dying star. So if you are a living star, a bright star with a very bright luminosity, and then you get entangled with a black hole, well, the black hole is going to consume your light because black holes do not have any light to give to you. And this is why you must find your equals. And again, your equals are going to be people that can access the fourth dimension or higher. People that are working on themselves. People that are working on their stars. So their stars are glowing and bright. And you can pour into them and they can pour into you because they have stuff to pour. They have light to give. Pathological narcissists have darkness to give. and you'll eventually see this darkness on the outside, and it is going to manifest itself as chaos, drama, lies, connivery, and abuse, because they are stuck in victim abuser consciousness. That is the level of consciousness that they operate at. And we all operate at varying levels of consciousness. But again, when it comes to pathological narcissists, they are stuck in the third dimension. Every day they wake up, they're in shame. Again, pathological shame. Self-esteem so low that they would probably have to look up to see it. So they start out at the first dimension. And at best, they get to the third dimension. They get right there to pride, and pride cometh before the fall, and they fall right back down to shame. That is where they have been stuck. That is the arrested development, the psycho-spiritual arrested development, the psychological, the psycho-spiritual disorder of pathological narcissism. You cannot build with a pathological narcissist, people. There is no one to build with. They don't exist. You're building with a mask. You're building with a facade. And this is why these relationships must go down. They are regressing. So understand that not everyone is aging like wine. Everyone does not get better with time. There are people here on this planet that are essentially walking around like zombies, and they age like milk. They are curdling. So ensure that you are discerning the spirit of the individuals that you are around. Vet the spirit. Are they someone that are using their minds? Can they control their emotions? Can they control their will? Because again, we are not our bodies. We have a body. So you could encounter someone that is attractive at the physical level, but they have a very poor character. And this is because they have not truly been working on their true selves. They have been working on their false selves. So do not fall for the masks, kind people. So if you need help on your healing journey, go ahead and book a one-on-one session. All of the links are here on the page. So know that you can heal from narcissistic abuse. However, you need the accurate information, and you need to take action on this information. So, for example, if you're someone that has gone through a narcissistic relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship, then you need some accurate information. Because if you're not getting the results that you need, then there is something that you don't know. All right. There's a blind spot that you have, and I can definitely help you to patch those blind spots so that you are now able to attract healthy and wholesome people and experiences into your life. So go ahead and book a one-on-one session, and I'll help to guide you on how to properly heal from narcissistic abuse. So again, kind people, ensure that you are communing with the living, right? Ensure that you're communing with those that are aging like a nice glass of Pinot Noir or Merlot. All you will find in the third dimension, people, are people that are curdling, just like milk. And that really is the message for today, kind folks. Thank you all for your continued support. Ensure that you are liking these videos. Ensure that you are subscribed for more empowering content. If you have any questions or feedback, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. Shika is the name. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.